I'm Richard Goodall. I'm from Terre Haute, Indiana.
What do you do for a living?
I've been a janitor for 23 years. Just a small town girl, living in a lonely world.
This is what I'm going to do for you because I love you.
AGT champion and winner of $1 million is Richard Goodall!
Richard Goodall from AGT seemed like just another contestant, but his story hides something much deeper. Behind his incredible voice is a life marked by heartbreaking struggles and painful losses. Each note he sings carries the weight of his past, and you can feel his sadness in every song. But what truly happened in Richard's life that makes his life so emotional and tragic? Let's reveal the untold story behind the man with the unforgettable voice that is making a whole country cry their hearts out. Small-town dreams of a big stage. Growing up in Terre Haute, Indiana, Richard had a normal childhood in a small town, living in a simple house with a caring family. His earliest love was music, with his old Radio Shack stereo becoming his most valued friend. He would spend countless hours in his room, listening to music and dreaming of performing on much bigger stages than his small room. As Richard got older, the needs of daily life began to overshadow his musical dreams. After finishing high school, he didn't go to college but needed a steady job to support himself. So he took up janitorial work at Choney Rose Middle School, just 3 blocks from his childhood home. Before we delve into this, it's clear that Richard's path took a far darker turn than anyone could have imagined. And what comes next is a truth that will truly leave you stunned. This job gave Richard a steady income, although it didn't satisfy his deep passion for music. For 23 years, he dedicated himself to his janitor role, taking pride in keeping the school clean and safe. Even though his job was modest, Richard never stopped dreaming about music. He would often sing while working, his voice echoing through the hallways and classrooms, which earned him the nickname the singing janitor from the students and teachers. His spontaneous singing at school events, especially on Veterans Day, where he sang God Bless the USA, became much anticipated gatherings, bringing happiness and togetherness to the community. In 2022, during a school event, Richard chose to sing Don't Stop Believing by Journey, a song that really showed off his singing ability. A teaching assistant recorded this performance and put it on TikTok. The video quickly captured hearts, showing the real power and emotion of Richard's voice, and it went viral overnight, getting over 100,000 views. By the end of the weekend, it reached over 1 million views and even got the attention of Journey's members, including Steve Perry. This video caught the eye of the producers from America's Got Talent, who invited Richard to try out for the show. Excited and a bit unsure, Richard accepted and soon found himself on one of the biggest stages globally, performing in front of judges like Simon Cowell and Heidi Klum. His version of Don't Stop Believing was met with overwhelming applause and a golden buzzer from Heidi Klum, which sent him straight to the live shows. This moment was a big turning point in his life, filled with happiness, as Richard felt he was truly living his dream. As he moved forward in the competition, Richard continued to win over audiences with his strong voice and down-to-earth nature, becoming a symbol of hope and determination. His story of going from a janitor to a potential superstar touched millions, showing how life can surprise us with unexpected twists. Richard remained humble throughout the competition, helped by a music team that joined him in July to pick songs that brought out his vocal talent and emotional depth. The AGT team supported him in every possible way, from technical help to emotional support during the tough competition. The excitement in Terre Haute was clear as the community backed Richard, organizing viewing parties and campaigns to support him. On the 13th of August, the day of the live show, families and friends gathered to watch Richard perform once again. Regardless of the competition's result, Richard's newfound popularity opened doors to opportunities he had only imagined before, with offers to record albums, perform at various places, and work with well-known artists coming in. Yet through all this, Richard stayed the humble janitor who used to sing in the hallways of Choney Rose Middle School. Looking to the future, Richard hoped to balance his love for music with his commitment to his community. He aimed to continue inspiring others, especially the students who had always supported him, not just as a janitor, but as a living example of the power of dreams and the importance of never giving up. Richard often spoke about hope in his interviews, He told people to spend less time on their phones and more time with their family and friends. Richard's new fame was just the start, but what happened next made him face challenges he never thought he'd have. Chasing a dream after rejection. He encouraged everyone to follow their dreams, no matter how difficult they seemed. His life showed that amazing things could happen to anyone at any time. Richard Goodall went from being a singing janitor to becoming a national star. This wasn't just a story about becoming famous overnight. It was about persistence, belonging to a community, and how music can keep influencing people. When he performed on the stage of America's Got Talent, under bright lights and amid loud cheers, Richard knew that this was only the start of something bigger. Richard had a voice that could really move people. For years, those close to him kept telling him how great his singing was. They encouraged him to compete in a singing contest. Finally, Richard decided to take their advice. He received lots of love and support on social media whenever he shared his singing videos, and he thought it was time to aim higher. The Voice, a big singing contest, seemed like the perfect place for him to show everyone what he could do. Richard picked a song that meant a lot to him, Don't Stop Believing. He practiced hard, poured his heart into it, and sent his audition video, hoping this would be his big chance. But the reply he received wasn't what he hoped for. Richard got an email from The Voice that crashed his hopes. The email thanked him for his audition, but told him he wouldn't move on to the next round. It encouraged him to keep improving and to try again next year. This rejection was a hard hit for Richard. He really believed in his talent and thought he had a true shot. The rejection felt like a hard punch. He was shocked that The Voice didn't see his potential. It was more than just being let down. It was a deep, painful hurt. Richard had always been reassured he was good enough, and now it seemed that wasn't true. But Richard wasn't someone who gave up easily. Instead of letting this setback knock him down, he decided to use it as motivation. He took to Instagram to share his feelings with his followers. He wrote about his rejection from The Voice and his determination to try for America's Got Talent, AGT, a place he felt might appreciate real talent like his. From his post, it was clear Richard was hurt, but not broken. America's Got Talent, AGT, was his next target. This was another big stage, and Richard was ready to prove his worth there. Even though The Voice had missed out on his talent, Richard was not going to let that stop him. With a heavy heart but a strong spirit, he prepared for this new challenge, convinced this was his time to shine. As Richard brought his talent to AGT, he carried both the pain of rejection and the hope of a new beginning. He was determined to make his dreams come true, despite any setbacks. Richard's story is a testament to resilience, showing that you can continue to move forward and find new opportunities for success even when faced with challenges. When Richard appeared on America's Got Talent, he not only showcased his talent, but also spoke lovingly of his fiancée, Angie. However, he has kept quiet about another, more sorrowful part of his life. Before Angie, Richard had another love, his wife for 30 years, whom he cherished deeply. Though her name has not been made public, the story of their life together is filled with love, pain, and profound loss. Richard and his first wife had built a life rich with love and cherished memories, celebrating every Christmas and Valentine's Day joyfully. The photos from these times, their smiles, and the way they looked at each other all reflected the deep connection they shared. However, life brought severe trials. In 2021, Richard's world was shattered when his wife was diagnosed with cancer, a brutal battle they faced together. Even with all his success, Richard went through a sadness that changed his life in a way nothing else could. A broken heart finds a new melody. Richard did all he could to support her, standing by her side as she fought the illness. He gave all his love and strength to help her through, but cancer proved to be a merciless foe. On June 19, 2021, Richard faced the heartbreaking loss of his wife. The agony of her loss was overwhelming. On Instagram, Richard shared a message that revealed the depth of his pain. He wrote about doing his best but feeling it was not enough, describing cancer as a brutal assault that knocked you down and forced you to start over. His words came straight from the heart, expressing the profound grief he experienced. Losing his wife felt like losing a part of himself after sharing 30 years of love. In his later interviews, Richard spoke about the importance of cherishing every moment and the power of love to help us through the hardest times. He shared how music had been a refuge for him, a way to express his deepest feelings and to connect with others who might be feeling the same pain. His performances were more than just entertainment. They were a form of healing, both for himself and for those who listen. Throughout his career, Richard inspired many by turning his personal grief into a message of hope and resilience. He encouraged others facing similar losses that they were not alone, and that the support of a community could be a powerful force for healing. His story, marked by both devastating loss and inspiring resilience, continued to touch the hearts of many around the world. As Richard continued his musical path, he never forgot the lessons he learned from his hardships. He spoke often about the strength we find in loving relationships and the importance of supporting each other through tough times. His music carried messages of hope, urging his listeners to hold on, to believe in themselves, and to keep chasing their dreams, no matter how difficult the path might seem. Richard Goodall's story, from a humble janitor to a beloved musical sensation, is a reminder that life can change for the better at any moment. It shows that with determination, a supportive community, and a passion for what you love, you can overcome even the toughest challenges. His path was a powerful example of how ordinary moments can lead to extraordinary outcomes, and how each of us has the potential to make a lasting impact on the world. The pictures showing their happy times together bring back mixed feelings. They remind us of what used to be and what was lost too soon. After dealing with his pain, life had to keep going. A little while after his partner passed away, Richard found love again. It was on the 25th of August, not long after he lost his wife, that he shared a picture on Instagram with Angie, the woman who brought new happiness into his life. The caption on the picture said, "Fun night with my Lane at Taco Tequilas." It's obvious that Angie has brought joy back to Richard, but it's also clear that finding happiness again was tough for him. Richard's life story is about losing love and finding it again, about feeling pain and then healing. It shows us that even when times are very dark, there's always a chance for new beginnings. But the old hurts don't just disappear. Looking at Richard's life, we see a man who has gone through a lot of loss, but has also found the strength to keep going, keeping the memory of his first wife close as he starts a new part of his life. When Richard Goodall showed up on America's Got Talent, he didn't just perform, he won the Golden Buzzer. But he shared more than just his singing. He shared a bit about his life. He said he was just a janitor and had a fiancée named Angie, but there was more he didn't talk about. Richard talked nicely about Angie on the show, but he kept some things about his past to himself. He had been married before, but he doesn't talk much about his first wife. However, we have some photos that tell a touching yet sad story. Sadly, his first wife died on the 19th of June, 2021, after a long fight with cancer. While everyone cheered for him, Richard still had one more challenge, but this time he didn't have to face it alone. Finding hope in a new chapter. On Instagram, Richard shared a very sad message about his late wife saying, "I'm so sorry I did my best, but my best wasn't good enough." He described the fight with cancer as feeling like being hit hard, falling down, and then having to get up and start over. These words hit hard, showing how tough the fight was for him. They were together for 30 years, sharing lots of love and special moments. They were always together for Christmas and Valentine's Day. The photos from these times show how close they were, but then life changed unexpectedly. After his wife died, Richard found love again. On the 25th of August, he posted a new picture on Instagram with his new girlfriend Angie and wrote, "Fun night with my Lane at Taco Tequilas." It looks like Richard has found happiness again, but it was definitely hard to get there. Richard often said he was alone in his room, singing with his radio, and wished he had a band. But that wasn't completely true. He was actually part of a local band in Terre Haute, Indiana called Maniper. Everything changed for Richard when a video of him singing went viral on TikTok. Suddenly, his band, Maniper, got a lot of requests to perform, and by July, they were booked solid. Richard was thrilled, saying, "Just like that, we're booked every weekend in July. Thanks to the band for their hard work and our manager for booking the gigs. See you folks Saturday night at Archie Sports Bar at 7:30. Don't miss a note." There was even talk of Richard performing with Maniper in the finals of America's Got Talent. One of his bandmates wasn't surprised by the attention. He said, "I knew this was coming. He deserves it. He's just so good, especially at singing. He's the perfect singer for those songs." Richard Goodall, who used to sing by himself in his room and wish for a band, has now become a well-known figure. The show America's Got Talent decided they would handle all his costs to compete, which was a huge help. Richard works as a janitor, and his earnings are modest, making it tough for him to manage expenses for trips and hotel stays in California, where everything is quite pricey. But then, something wonderful happened that would help him a lot. A fellow resident from Terre Haute, Indiana, named Chris Bond, initiated a fundraising campaign through GoFundMe. He managed to gather an impressive sum of $15,000, urging people to support Terre Haute, Indiana's AGT Golden Buzzer winner, Richard Goodall. Richard took his very first flight alone to attend his initial competition in August. He plans to return and compete for another 10 days. Thanks to the generous support he received, Richard doesn't need to stress about the financial aspect of his trip. His travel and accommodation expenses are fully covered, although he still needs support for some additional expenses. The fundraiser began on the 30th of May, 2024, and it quickly reached its goal by the 9th of June, with 382 individuals contributing. The overwhelming support from his hometown and beyond has been incredible. This collective effort has ensured that Richard Goodall, who captivated everyone with his golden buzzer performance, can concentrate on competing without any financial worries. In August 2022, Richard had the opportunity to perform before a large audience singing "Don't Stop Believing" alongside Rudy Cardenas, who is known from American Idol. That evening, Richard stood on the stage confidently, almost as though he had been performing in front of large crowds for years. This experience was not just a display of his singing talents, but also a testament to how far he has come from his days of singing alone. His story of transformation from a solitary singer to a public sensation encapsulates the power of community support and personal determination. The GoFundMe campaign was more than just about raising money. It was a rallying point for the community. People from all walks of life came together to support one of their own, showing that even small contributions can accumulate to make a significant impact. Richard's path from a humble janitor to a national talent show contestant has inspired many in his hometown and across the country. It's a reminder that with the right support and opportunities, anyone can turn their dreams into reality. Was Richard Goodall's story simply about talent, or is there a deeper pain that he's been hiding from the world? Tell us what you think, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.